TRW here with Assault, Tactical Combat in the 80s. Guess I'll talk first about what I'm doing here. And I think I'm going to start with talking about scenarios. I mean, from the rule book, the section on scenarios. Assault, Tactical Combat in the 80s. Copyright 1983 and 1984. This should be this is the second edition. Research and design, Frank Chadwick. Development, John Harshman and John Astle. Playtesting, Steve Anderson, Greg Novak, and Rob Davidson. Assault is a tactical level simulation of ground combat in Europe in the mid-1980s. As modern tactical combat is a subject of extreme breadth, Assault comprises the first in a series of games. Complete by itself, Assault covers mobile engagements between U.S. and Soviet tank and mechanized forces. Other games and modules add helicopters, engineering, combat in built-up areas, tactical airstrikes, and other belligerents. All right, so this is the basic Assault rules. What I did to get started. So first of all, I'm no expert, and I have no experience playing the game back when it was new. In fact, for the most part, the only play I have of this is the couple of series of videos I did quite a ways back using Boots and Saddles. That's it. So I'm coming back. I really liked what I saw that first look, and so I am back. So I am building on what I recall from that earlier experience. I remember command points, allocating and using operations points, actually. I remember fires by step. I remember sighting. Each side has a nice substantial fire data chart to get your hit probabilities, etc. Spotting. Where is spotting? Where is spotting? Well, anyways, I remember the spotting rules, and I remember liking them. I remember units. We'll grab this T-64 platoon here. So I remember that you have formations. If you're facing a hex side, you're in movement formation. If you're facing a hex corner, you're in combat formation. We have spotted and unspotted. I remember all those basics. Pretty much everything I liked. Okay, so now to get into the game this time, what I did was I just went really quickly. So this is the U.S. scenario booklet. You have a U.S. and you have a Soviet, separate Soviet scenario booklet. I went ahead and grabbed a Scenario 1 probe. Now, this is a great thing. I mean, there are different ways of doing this, but the way Assault does it, I like. Basically, there are only 3 scenarios. Scenario 1 probe, Scenario 2 meeting engagement, and Scenario 3 counterattack. Then for each scenario, each side has 6 what they call force levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the US side, 6 for the Soviet side. So when you do the math, it's actually over 100 scenarios. But you have a basic probe, meeting, engagement, and counterattack situation. And then you have, obviously you have dozens of different force matchups, basically. Okay. So I grabbed the first scenario, probe. Now this is what I did as well. So the game uses geomorphic boards. This is map A and map B. They're set up long ways. So it's long this way. This is not, these are the two inside panels. So I have this is map B. So here's map B. This is map B. I have map B folded over. So this is the, so basically I'm using the inside half of the play area. I'm basically just took off the far half of map B and the top half or far half of map A. So it's the inside part where A and B meet. Okay, so I'm taking the center part here, just for ease of table space and as well as recording. All right, so I took scenario 1. I shortened the play area, but otherwise it's the same. And then what I did is, what I did is I just took force level 1 for the Americans, force level 1, and I just took force level 1 for the Soviets. So that's what I have here. So that means that for the US, I went here to force level 1. That means I've got Bravo Company 1st Battalion, Alpha Company 3rd Battalion, a couple of AT units, and then similarly for the Soviets. Okay, so how do you do that? So, No. I guess I'll save that for the scenario part of the rules that I'm going to get to next. Let's see. I think those are the, so this is not, you don't choose the force levels like I did, but I'll go over that in a minute. So I think that's all the setup for how I decided to get back into it. Yeah, so now rules, rules section 23, scenarios. So now we'll talk about how by rules, what scenarios are and how you set up. Because these are things that I wanted to go over anyways. So this all contains the 3 scenarios. So this is, first it explains how you have the 3 basic scenario situations, but then you have the different force levels, talks about that then. Yeah, and so the players are actually, so the players draw these, you have 6 counters for the Soviets, label force level 1 through 6, same for the US player, and the player chooses that randomly. You hang on to this force level marker so you can show it to your opponent when you're done. Yeah, so decide on the scenario by mutual consent. Choose your force levels randomly. Okay. Force levels. Yeah, scenario. And then you look at the scenario folder. Scenario information. This has normal stuff. General scenario information. Your force levels. Your scenario chart. So I guess I'll look at that next. So here's a good example. So scenario 1, probe, force level 1 for the US side, and then inside, well, first of all, you have this kind of order of battle type display. So the first unit here is B-1. B-1. So you go to, there's B-1. This is B-1 right here. So this is 1st Battalion Armored. B Company, you have a headquarters, HQ B-1, and then you have 1 B-1, 2 B-1, 3 B-1. Very easy to read. 1 B-1 is 1st Platoon. This is a platoon unit scale game, so that that 1 counter represents the 1st Platoon of Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, and same with 2 B-1 and 3 B-1. So you can lay out all your counters that way on the display, the chart. Then you have this table, which is actually more important than I thought it was originally. So go here, scenario 1, force levels 1 through 6. I chose 1 just to get started. You go down here. If there's nothing in the column, then the unit, because these are all the units in the counter mix. If there's nothing there, it's not used in that scenario for that. It's not used in that force level for that scenario. If you have 8, if you have a number in there, that's the turn it arrives as a reinforcement. So that unit HQ B-1 is actually off the it's off the map to the side there. So there's HQ B-1, which arrives on turn 8. And if there's an S, that means that it's a starting unit, and it's placed initially on the map. So these are the S units here. They're set up. Yeah, and that's basically how you read that. If it's an asterisk unit, it has a personnel and a unit and a vehicle counter. It does list your dummy units. I'm not sure I'll be using dummies here, and entrenchments. Oh, I missed that. Actually, I do want to use entrenchments. That was an oversight. Well, not an oversight. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah, I do want to use entrenchments. So let me make sure I got the right. So go to my markers, display unit identification chart, which includes markers, entrenchment, what you would expect, by the way, but just in case. So 3 entrenchment markers. Where are they? There they are. Okay. So entrenchment for the U.S. side, backside's entrenchment for the Soviets. So I'll grab 3 of those. All right. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this. So I catch these 1, 2, 3. So of course my first question always in these circumstances are, where can they be set up? Can they be set up in urban hexes? Can they be set up in woods? So I'll be looking at that, but yeah, I need 3. I'll set out 3 entrenchment markers there for the U.S. side. All right, so maps and wind direction. Well, let's do that. Oh, okay, so it's per scenario. There it is. Oh. So there it is. 10. Wind direction is that way. So I did not see a wind. I did not see a wind counter in the mix actually. So I'm going to take a dummy unit which has the directional arrow on the back, and I'll just use the directional arrow there to show wind direction. I'm putting it off in a hex way up there on the edge of the map up there. All right. Not sure what wind direction, how it plays yet, obviously. And victory, I won't go over victory now because I'm just playing to play. Scenario length, offboard artillery, definitely will be, but this is basically, definitely will be doing, or look to be doing offboard artillery, but basically, here's an example for US. One battery, it's interesting that they actually, I'm not sure of many games where you actually need the number of hexes offboard it is. But it's one battery, 2 full strength units. Hey, wait, are these in the counter mix? You know, I just assumed that they were not. 1A. Oh. You know what? Okay, so I'm looking quickly. I don't see. One. Yeah, I don't see it there. But something tells me maybe you need that because it's still, because maybe it's still treated as an individual unit for record purposes. You know, I'll just assume for now that that is the case. So you've got your 2 units, and you've got what it is: M109 155mm howitzers deployed 16 hexes off board. Now, clearly you need that because, let's go ahead and look at, so here on the front side you have your direct fire data chart, and on the back side you have your indirect fire data chart, and there's the 155mm howitzer M109. So you have your HE value, your rate of fire, maximum rate of fire, then you have all your different factors, range, ammo supply. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. The most important or interesting thing is that you do have to actually factor in how many hexes it is off map. And again, I don't remember seeing that. So the Soviets. Again, scenario 1 probe. Oh yeah, they have lots of. Okay, in force levels 1 and 2, the battalion is the 5th battalion, composed of SAU 152s. Okay, is undeployed and 50 hexes off board. And that's also what I now vaguely remember. You have these deployed markers. You have these deployed markers, which are going to factor in as well. So we'll get to that. All right, off-board command. There may be off-board command points available, or command point sources. Are there any here? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't see any for this scenario. Command ratings. This section states how many headquarters and talks should be rated for this scenario. I will be getting to this, but basically, where are the tables? There are, where are they? There are tables for rolling the command rating table. That's what it is. So you're rolling on a table to determine the ratings for headquarters and talks. And I will be doing that. Before I get started, I'm not gonna, I won't simplify that. But this tells you, okay, so for the US, command ratings, generate command ratings for 5 headquarters and 1 talk. And then initial deployment. So the US are going to set up anywhere on map A, and units can be set up in cover. So for example, in this wooded hex right there, I've got an M1 platoon there, and he's set up in cover. My basic idea for deployment was to have the tanks over here taking advantage of this relatively open and flat ground here. Then I have mechanized infantry. No, I've got the AT, both AT units here, centrally located and on the high ground. This is a kind of a hill peak here, hilltop. Down here in this urban area, got a 113 headquarters, with an M125, and then over here on the other side of the map where it's okay, that is the north side. It's got the orientation there. So on the north side, I've got a mechanized company to take advantage of this more broken terrain up here with this swamp and more elevations and the big urban area there. That's the basic idea there, and then I have tanks coming in as reinforcements. The Soviets are all coming on in waves. So I have these. I have my little tiny, micro dice. I think I am going to use them again to keep track of my allocation of 1 or 2 operations points. 10-sided dice. All right. Oh, I just hit my camera.